The next thing after that is a lot of research and a lot more sketching. So these are actual Viking weapons and artifacts that I was researching for Beowulf, and then sketches of what Beowulf might look like. And again, researching the architecture and then just kind of drawing variations on it. You know, what's a more fantastic version of this actual building? Trying to decide, often one of the key things is to decide how fantastic you want to go in your designs, because it's a different kind of story. It can be a really interesting story if you go really fantastic, but it can be a much more realistic story if you go very realistic, and you have to kind of decide where you want to fall in that spectrum. And once I kind of have those designs worked out, this is really the meat of the comic medium. This is like the main course, is figuring out what panels go in what order, how they're arranged on the page, what the composition is within each of those panels. You know, what's the how do you convey through body language the movement that's going on? How do you use your camera angle to add drama or to make something more clear? And where do you fit in the text? And then immediately after that, what is the text? You know, sometimes I've already worked out a whole text script, but usually I haven't. Usually I have a kind of a first draft, and then I do the second draft after I've figured out what the images are going to be. So I end up with kind of a cobbled together page that has all my favorite panels from all the different variations I did of that page. And it's very messy, but then I blow it up and I do a nice finished drawing of it. And I drop the text in, make sure it fits. In Beowulf, fitting the text was pretty easy because it was all in boxes, but in some of my later projects you'll see it get more complicated. So this is just ink on paper, scan that back in, and then I would drop in this parchment texture, and then I would do a value painting. Much like you might do if you were working traditionally, you would do an underpainting just in black or brown. I did that with Photoshop, and then I added the individual colors on a separate layer. For the second section, of course, I had to just manually transfer that or enlarge that drawing onto the wood panel. And then do an ink drawing over that, and then paint over that. The third section, same idea. I'm just going to note that one of the ways to get texture, you know, in the first section I got the texture digitally. I created this parchment texture that was under everything. The second section, the wood, was the texture. The third section, in order to get these stone textures, I was spattering, using just like a toothbrush, and spattering into the ink while it was still wet to get these kind of textures, and then spattering darker color after it was dry to get like the sand.